Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning in to this broadcast. This is Educated and Empowered. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you guys are tuning in to the broadcast. I am your international award winning author, literary extraordinaire, and awe inspiring coach, Tennille M. Jackson. And I am jumping on here really quickly. This is a special episode, special edition. I will not be on here long. And I know this is totally different because normally I don't go live on Wednesdays, and I definitely rarely go live at this time. But I wanted to come on and share some things with you guys. So I always say, feel free to like and share the video and tag somebody that you believe will benefit from the broadcast. Hey, Miss Travail. So who will benefit from today's broadcast? Anyone who grew up not knowing their father, anyone who grew up with a strained relationship with their parents, anyone who grew up, so whether it's a broken home, whether it was just like issues that create abandonment issues, anything like that. That's who would benefit from today's broadcast. And so, for those of you who are on Facebook, you see the title, it is He Made Me Cry. And so I want to go a little bit more into that. And just so you all know, again, you feel free to put whatever comments that you want to put. I just ask that they be respectful. And you can always feel free to ask me any questions that you may have. Hey, Pastor Sandy. Well, I'm finna hit you today because today, despite the title, it was a good show. But I mean, it's a good thing, but I have to give it some background. So this is not a topic that I talk about often, right? Hold on one second. This for many of you, like, unless you know me, you don't necessarily know my upbringing. You don't know my personal story, my personal background. I shared some of it. My friend Aretha Tatum did a documentary, I think it was about 2 years ago. I know we were still in the midst of the pandemic. So she did a documentary entitled 70 times 7, the freedom of forgiving. And so I share a snippet of my story, dealing with rejection and abandonment issues. I know my father, but he didn't live with me. So we have a very surface level relationship. Got you. So here is my story, okay? So whenever I talk about my dad, so the other day I just posted a picture saying I woke up thinking about my parents, which you guys saw a picture from when I was way young, my mom, my dad, and then my sister and myself, right? So that was the family that I grew up knowing. And that dad that I love to death, who passed away in 2019, he is not my biological father. He adopted me when I was 10 months old. However, he's my dad, right? And so when I was about 14 years old, there was something in me that knew that my dad wasn't my father, so you guys understand where I'm going with that, where I knew, even though this was my dad and this is who I was calling dad, I knew that that wasn't my dad, and I didn't know how to um broach the subject. I knew that I wouldn't bring it up to him. because I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. It was just something in me where I just needed to know, And so I remember one day asking my mom, again, I was about 14. And I remember one day asking my mom if my dad was my father. And that's when she told me that he wasn't. And I was so, like, even though I kind of knew that that was going to be the answer, I was still kind of hurt because the next immediate question or thought was, well, where is my dad? Or who is my dad? And more specifically, why is he not here? Why don't I know him? Because me and my sister, we don't have the same father, right? And so all my life, I knew that me and my sister didn't have the same dad. And I knew who my sister's father was, who he is. I absolutely love him to pieces. The documentary that I did that's going to be debuting on the 28th, he's one of the Black men that I interviewed for the documentary. So I know him. I have known him all of my life. And so the point that I'm making is that growing up, my sister, because he lives in a different state. And so, every summer my sister would go there to spend time with her dad. Whenever he came to Chicago, he'd come over and see her, see us. He always, talked to me, dealt with me. But I knew that was my sister's father. You see what I'm saying? And so as I got older, I always wondered, where is my father? Why did my father never decide to be in my life? And um that causes a lot of issues for you. And I don't think that it's just as a female, male or female. I think when you don't grow up with your father, it can, I won't say that it is already or is necessarily the case 100% of the time, because I try not to speak in terms of absolutes, but in many, many cases, it it messes you up, because and let me also, before I go further, let me give the disclosure. I am not a counselor. I am not a psychiatrist, a therapist, any of those things. So all I am doing in this show is simply sharing my story, how it affected me, how I coped. That's all that I'm doing. Okay. So in either case, Travell says, I have a very similar story because I was raised by my brother's dad. And here's the thing, these people could be the best people in the world to you. But what happens is there's still something, I don't know if it's human nature, but there's still something in you that gives you to want to know what happened. Where's my father? Like, okay, that's my sister's father, but where's my father? Like, why is it that, like, he's not dead? Because she told me, I asked if he was still alive, and she was like, to her knowledge he was. But it just left a really, really, that's a good word, Travell. It left a really huge void. Like, what? And for me, it was something where I internalized it, right? Where I felt there was something wrong with me. Like, what is it? What is it about me? Why doesn't he, love me? Or why is it that he would not want to spend time with me? Or girl, come on. No, but come on. That's exactly it. Like, you you just wonder and you internalize it, and it gives you to have these issues of rejection. Okay, and let me say this, I will speak in my person. For me, I dealt with rejection issues all my life, just wanting to be accepted and wanting to be loved, because you're it's like, why didn't he love me? You know what I'm saying? It sure can mess you up. I don't think, if I didn't forgive him and would have still been bound by it. Come on. And this is what I'm saying. You definitively have to forgive. But here's my point. As a 14-year-old girl, um, that's when it really started messing with my head, because now at this point I definitively know, I'm told that, because I don't know if before then, I don't remember if before then I had any thoughts or whatever, and I'm not even sure exactly what happened that made me courageous enough to even ask at that point. I honestly can't tell you. I don't remember none of the dots that led up to the point where I asked my mom definitively, flat out, is my dad my father? And then from there, well, where is my dad? Hey, Miss Beatrice, where is my dad? And then, like, did he ever call? Did he ever write? Like all of those things, because you're you're trying to make sense of it, right? And nothing was ever said other than, I'm not sure where he is. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't any follow up. It wasn't like we can try to get in touch with him. It wasn't. And I think that it really kind of made her uncomfortable as well. And I kind of felt that. So I let it go. But at 14, now, and you just now really a teenager. So you have all of these different emotions inside of you, and then when you're seeing other friends with family, and again, keep in mind, technically I had a two-parent home. I had my mom and my dad, but there's still something in me, and especially when I would see my sister with her dad, like there's something that was in me that just, again, let's use Travail's word, a void. There's that void that's just there. It's like just this hole, and you don't understand. The hurt doesn't. Girl, the hurt doesn't leave. I was literally attacked right before I joined your video started. Our siblings don't get it, and in my case, my brothers are both being disrespectful because my feelings of belonging or security still isn't healed at age 42. Travail, tag them. If you are Facebook friends with them, tag them in this video. And by the time I get done, maybe it will help them to understand, because I'm going to hit on all of that. Okay. So fast forward. Okay. So fast forward. And like I say, low self esteem, feelings of rejection, like all my life. And what's crazy is, like, I had friends and stuff, so it's not that I didn't have friends, but there's just something beside that, like, that just makes you feel like you never feel worthy, because it's just like being saved now, being a Christian, being a believer. Like, I understand now from a spiritual perspective that that was just the enemy's drug of choice, right? So he understood that rejection was something for me, and he could play on that. So that was something that he used to get me. So now at this age, you understand that. But being in that moment at 14, 15, 16, you ain't that spiritually deep. You ain't that, at that place where it don't bother you. Our parents' generation didn't like to talk about certain things. Absolutely, and that left us vulnerable, absolutely. And I think that also contributes to one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I had the type of father for my girls who would be a father for them. So regardless of what happens with me and him, I mean, we're together, but regardless of whether we were together or not, I wanted a good father figure for them, so they would never have to know the pain that I grew up feeling, right? And so, because there is a huge emptiness, it is such hurt, inexplicable hurt, because again, you feel worthless. That's the best way I can describe it. You feel worthless, because it's like, even though your mom is there taking care of you, and again, I had somebody who adopted me, but it's like, if he's not dead, then why is he not here? Why is he not checking on me? Why is he not coming for me? Why doesn't he love me? What is it about me? Like, so these are the feelings that you have. And so anyway, fast forward. And so I remember when I was 18, I just found out a month ago that my grandfather is not my real grandfather. I had his name and not my father's name, and my siblings don't get it, and it's so insensitive. Girl, let me we gonna just keep going. Cause see what happened with me and my sister both had my mom's maiden name. So both of us had her last name. So therefore, even though she got married, it was explained, hey Lonnie, it was explained like it was implied. Let me say it like that, because nothing was ever explained. Because to go back to Pastor Sandy's point, parents didn't sit down in that generation. Parents didn't sit down and talk about their love lives, or talk about their mistakes, or talk about their bad choices, or talk. No, it just was what it was. As a child, you didn't get to say so. You dared not ask anything. If they wanted you to know, they tell you. If they didn't tell you, then that meant you don't ask, right? That's just how it was in that time. And so with us, it was just implied, okay, mama's last name was the last name it was because she was married to daddy. That's just how it was. Hey, Miss Muriel. And so, but me and my sister had the same last name. So therefore, me and my sister were sisters. Like, and I don't even think as a younger person, I didn't understand the concept of half brother, half sister, like half siblings. Like, it's your sister or it's your brother. Like, I didn't get halves. I was almost grown before I understood the concept. I just knew, that somewhere out there was somebody who was half the reason why I was in this world, and he was never here to see about me. Some things we just didn't know, and adults didn't. Come on, you wasn't finna. You didn't even have to. They didn't have to say nothing. They just gave you this look. Never mind. I didn't mean. Don't even worry about it. I wasn't even asking that out loud. You just knew by that look. I did too, but she doesn't know that he's not her real dad. Okay, she's in early dementia, and I can't get the answers. I'm wrecked. Okay, but listen, Travail, let me help you. Look, girl, y'all stay here for it. Stay here for it, because I'm here for all of this stuff. So just go with me. It's gonna take me a minute to get all that, but I promise y'all it's gonna be worth it. So anyway, so fast forward, I'm 18, totally random. One night we're at church, and this guy comes in my church. At this time, my dad, so okay, when I'm talking about the man that raised me, that's my dad. So whenever y'all hear me say my dad, I mean my adopted father, not my biological father. So this man comes into my church. It was a Friday night service. I'll never forget it. Friday night service. He comes to my church, and my dad was up speaking. And I remember, so after he finished speaking, my dad tells this guy to stand up. And when you in church, so whether you Kojic or Baptist, it's customary, if somebody ain't a member of the church come in, it's customary that you ask them to stand up because you just acknowledging their presence or whatever. This one that. So my dad knew who he was. And so my dad gets up and he's like, he introduces him as being my father. And so he's like, so y'all, let's give him a round of applause for being here. Thank him for being here, whatever. Oh, the questions. The questions that I had in my head that night. Because now I'm all kinds of discombobulated. Because it's not even just the fact that this is how I meet him, but then the fact that my dad knew who he was. Let's keep going. So after service was over, the guy goes to my mom and dad and asks if it would be okay for him to come back to our house because he wanted to speak to me. Okay. So we get back to the house, and he's explaining to me that he's my father, and he's sorry that he wasn't there, or whatever, and so would I be willing to forgive him and give him an opportunity to start over? Anybody that know me know I'm not one that holds grudges. Ain't nobody got time for that, because that just hurts you anyway. And so again, there's a part of me I want to know who my father is. So you came, you said you were sorry, you want to be in my life. So absolutely, I forgive you. Let's move on. Cause he gave me $100. You don't forget that Holy Ghost handshake that got that 100. Okay, so he gave me that Holy Ghost handshake, had $100 in it. He just was asking for my forgiveness. He wants to be able to move forward. Okay. So fast forward 4 years later, because that's how many years it was before I saw him again. So I wait 18 years to see him. He comes and apologizes and says that things are going to be different. Can we be in each other's life? Um, and now it's 4 years later. And the reason why it's 4 years later is because now my mother is on her deathbed. Like literally, this isn't language. Like literally, she had stage 4 cancer, and she was, she'd already been given X amount of time to live. Word got to him. He was at my grandmother's house. Okay, my mother's mother. He goes to my grandmother's house, has my grandmother call me to say to ask if it would be okay for him to come see my mother. So the conversation goes a little something like this. Hey grandma. Hey baby, everything okay? Yeah, it's good. How your mama doing? She all right, holding on. Because let me stop to say that I was my mother's caregiver. So I took care of my mother in her final days. She had moved in my house. And so the hospice bed, the whole everything. So I was her caregiver in her final days. But anyway, she okay. You know how I go. Yeah, I know. Well, my dad's name is Renee. Well, Renee is over here and he just wanted to know if it would be okay if he came over there to see your mother. Okay, sure, that's fine. All right, well, I'll let him know. Not Renee wants to know how you were doing. Renee is sitting right here. He wants to talk to you. He wants to know if he can come to your house to see, not to see you, to see your mom. Sure. My dad did the same thing, appeared then disappeared again, grabbed her. So, Travell, here's the thing. It's not that what he did wasn't technically respectable. It was just a little bit deplorable because you, because two things. One, you at my grandma's house, meaning if you at my grandma's house 4 years later, my grandmother lived in the same house all of so my grandmother died the year after my mom. So all of my life up to that point, my grandmother lived in the same house. So that means that when I was 18, my grandma was living in that house and you never came to that house. When I was 14, my grandma was living in that house, you never came to that house. So you have to understand my mind at that point, not oh, that was so nice that he would go and call to see if it was okay for him to see your mom. No, that was not what my mind was thinking. Let's carry on with the story. So in the story, which just happens to be my life, um, I get off the phone with my grandmother and I go to check on my mom. And my mom looks at my face and she's like, "What's wrong?" I ain't trying to plague my mom with this stuff. I'm like, "None, everything is okay." And she would always say this. She said, "Tennille, I gave you a birthday. I know when something is wrong." And so I told her, I said, "Well, um, grandma just called and said Renee want to come and see you." She's like, "What do you want to see me for?" Y'all gotta understand, my mama is a feisty little chick, okay? Well, she was a little feisty chick. I said, "I don't know, but at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with me. And so I'm not gonna stop him from seeing you just because he and I have unresolved issues." So I told him he could come. So okay, fast forward a few hours, he gets to the house And so my mom comes out of the room and she simply says this to him. She says, "You need to work stuff out with your daughter. If y'all can't work things out, there's no reason for you to be here for me." And she goes back in the room. And so he looks at me and he asks if I would give him, if I wanted to talk to him. And let's say at age 22, I wasn't as saved and sanctified as I am today. So I will say this: I've always been respectful. So whereas there was some words in me that was real riled up that I won't dare say today, I didn't say them while I was talking to him. However, I was thinking a whole lot of them. Okay, so I went. We went on my back porch and we talked for about 3 hours. And I should probably say I talked for about 2 hours. And then we talked for that last hour because the first couple hours were spent with me telling him how much I um hated him because of how he made me feel like this burden that I've been carrying around all my life, not understanding why he didn't want me, not understanding why I wasn't worth his time, not understanding. And so all of that burden um had built up over the years. And I'm not typically the type of person to hold on to stuff like that. And so it made me even more angry because I couldn't get rid of it. This was just how I felt. So all these years, this stuff is just festering. And then you got the nerve to come in my life at 18 and say that you want to be a part of my life. And then you disappear for 4 more years. And then you just pop up here today simply because my mama is dying. What if she wasn't dying? So do that mean I would have never saw you again? So like that whole conversation, all right? So after I got it out, and he allowed me to get all of it out, and then he apologized to me. And here's the thing: you can always, well, I can look at somebody and tell when they're sincere in their apology. And I could look at him and I knew that he was sincere. And, he couldn't explain anything away and he didn't even try. The only thing that he was like, the only thing I can tell you is that it was never that I didn't want to be in your life. He was like that he knew that my mom, because him and my mom was never a couple. Y'all know we all grown over here. So y'all know one thing lead to one thing, and then boom, you look up and you pregnant, and then so it was like one of those situations. Not that they had been together in these lovers or whatever. No, it's just a thing that happened, and then and so his point was that my mom had moved on with my dad. And so the three of them sat down and the three of them decided that it would be best for me if, since my dad had went through the process of adopting me, that it would be less confusing for me if he wasn't in the picture. And so, okay, I try, even today, I try to put myself in that situation because I understand some situations can be kind of tricky. So, matter of fact, can I pause for station identification? Can I pause and ask y'all that? So, if y'all had that situation where, say, you had a child by somebody, y'all wasn't like a couple, y'all didn't have no history. It was just whether it's a one night stand or whatever. It wasn't a deep relationship. You end up pregnant by the person, but then you move on and you get into a relationship with somebody else who is actually willing to raise your child. Do you tell that child that the person that you're currently with is not their father? Do you do you on your own as the parent, do you introduce that conversation, or do you just kind of avoid it and say nothing unless and until the child brings it up. How would y'all handle that? Because if I'm being 100, I still can't answer that question. So it's like I can't even though none of them are here today, like they're not allowed today. Like being grown, like in my 40s now, I still can't answer. Like the best thing that I can come up with is maybe when I was younger. So say, under 10, and if I didn't know, and if they felt that that would be confusing for me, then as a parent, you have to do what you feel is in the best interest of your child, right? And the thing about this thing called life is that it don't come with an instruction manual. So a lot of times you just have to make your decision, stand on it, and hope like crazy that you actually got it right. Because in most situations, it can either be left or right. It literally could. And it's just like, okay, pick already. So you got to make a choice, and then you just kind of got to get behind what you chose and stand for it. For me, yes, because I understand resentment. Same for adoption, immediately upon comprehension. I think I will when they are of age to understand it better. See, and for both of y'all, I think that that's how I feel. Like I could understand mom not telling me then. Okay. And so when I asked her at 14 and her telling me, you're right, you do have a biological father that's not your dad. Um, but so it's not that she didn't tell me, but I still felt incomplete. I still kind of felt cheated. And so my point is, I don't know if there's anything, even if she would have told me earlier, the fact that he wasn't in my life, knowing now all the things I'm gonna get to, even if I would have known earlier on, it wouldn't have changed the fact that he wasn't in my life. So y'all keep on that. I'm gonna go back and finish the story because I need to get y'all to understand what I mean. So he was saying, he explained to me that, my dad and my mom had all sat down and they had all discussed the fact that um what they felt would be in the best interest of me, right? That they felt that it would be confusing for me if him and my dad were both there, and he didn't want to cause confusion because he knew that he was not going to be a consistent part of my life. Like, because he knew he was always on the go, he was, in the music world, he was like an activist, he did all this type of stuff. And so he knew that he was always going to be on the go. And so that he wouldn't have to pop in and out, and he knew that my dad was going to be there consistently, he felt that my dad would be a better dad for me than he would be. So he just kind of agreed to fall back, right? So, and both my mom and dad agrees to that telling. Well, at that time when they were alive, they agreed to that rendition. So it's not like a lie he told. That was how it went down. They all agree, okay, you ain't gonna really be here. She may very well have questions. You don't want to keep on popping in and out. He's going to be here. So he's the stable, parent. So he and I are the ones that's together. He's agreeing that he's gonna be stable. So what we feel to be best for her is for it to just be me and him. You fall back, and he was like, okay, so he fell back. Get all that. So then, once I turned 18, I'm like, what happened then? Because you came, you introduced yourself, you had apologized, and then, you just fell off the earth. And here's the thing about bitterness, it can overtake you if you let it. This is the reason why it's dangerous to hold on to it. And so, if you say you love yourself, so here's a life tip. If you say you love yourself, but you're holding on to bitterness, I would question if you really love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you don't do anything that's going to hurt you. And when you hold on to bitterness, when you hold on to resentment, when you hold on to all of those negative feelings, it hurts you. Many times we feel like when we hold on to stuff against somebody that it's hurting that person. 9.5 times out of 10, it's not hurting them because they're not even aware of how you feel. So they definitely ain't aware that you're holding on to these feelings. So you the one that's waking up, and those things, those emotions take a physical toll on your body, and that's legit. Like, you can Google that, that's facts. So if you actually love yourself as much as you say you do, then you would not be harboring bitterness. You would not be holding on to all of this hatred and anger that you may have for somebody, and it could be a legit thing that they did. So I'm pausing to say that if you find yourself in a situation where you are struggling to overcome bitterness, anger, and hatred, then you need to seek help. And I don't mean that you're crazy. I mean, you need to figure out how to let go of that because it's hurting you. So even if you don't care about them and you're angry with them, love you enough to be able to let go and move forward. And that was one of the things that I had to do from that 18 to 22 period, even though, it hurt because I was still going through stuff and I thought that I was over it. But then when he had popped up 4 years later, all of those feelings came back. You see what I'm saying? So I actually wasn't over it. I had just suppressed it. So suppressing something, sweeping it under the rug is not the same as actually dealing with it. Okay. So let's move on in the story. So at this point, he comes back and he asks me again, would I forgive him? And again, I said yes, because I legitimately, that is, y'all, I can't, if I began to talk to y'all about all the folks that done did me wrong in my little life, we be here for the next little while, and I ain't got that type of time. But I am one that legitimately, I forgive, I let go, I don't hold on to stuff. Ain't nobody got time for that. I'm trying to live on purpose and purpose with purpose, and holding on to a grudge against you just slowing me down. So I don't believe in doing that. So in either case, I forgave him. This time it was so totally different. Like, he was there for the rest of, I mean, he was there like almost every day. If he wasn't at my house, he was calling me. My mom had passed just a couple weeks after that. He was there for my mom's funeral. He was there for the birth of my daughter. He had told me about me having siblings. He's like, because you got a lot of siblings and they all know about you. I think the biggest disconnect with healing is not understanding that the body keeps count. For me, it's the triggering thoughts that bring my body back to the day oh girl, I feel you on that, because so many times you're literally right back to the moment that it happened. So I totally feel you on that. Um, I forgive the best I can, but my body holds anxiety of events from years ago. I don't know how to overcome how my body responds to the pain of the event. So what I would say for you, Travail, honestly, is, and I don't know what your beliefs are as it pertains to therapy. And again, I've been to counseling or therapy or whatever you want to say. So this isn't something like I'm trying to look down on you. I'm sharing with you, like, it helps. Sometimes it helps to just be able to get it out. Sometimes it helps to be able to talk to somebody in a non-judgmental environment, because sometimes when we talk to the people that we know about our situation, whether they supposed to or not, whether we asked them to or didn't, what happens is that they end up sharing their feelings or their opinions. And if they don't understand how we could feel a particular way that we feel, then they gonna kind of chime in on that. And depending on type of personality that you have, that may shut you down where you're like, just never mind, I'm gonna hold the rest up to myself. I ain't sharing nothing else. I just started seeing it's like, yes, come on. And so what happens is when you talk to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, a counselor, whatever the name that you use, when you talk to someone else that is not from your circle, that does not know who you are, then they come in with no bias. They come in simply wanting to be able to help you to get better. And so, if that means just giving you the floor to just be able to vent and get it all out, because sometimes it's just the point that it's been suppressed for so long because we never got a chance to express our feelings, whether it's because we felt bad to say out loud how we really felt, because we didn't want for somebody to look at us or think about us a different way because we ain't supposed to be. Y'all know how we do a lot of times, until you grown, and to the point where you comfortable with who you are, like whether we say we people pleasers or not, it matters to you. It matters to you what other people think. And even if it's not other people holistically, at least the people that's in your circle, it matters what they think. And people automatically just appoint, hey, Miss Brandy, people kind of just appoint how you're supposed to feel based on who they feel that you are. So they ain't never got to walk a day in your shoes. They have never had to deal with what you're dealing with, but they kind of put out their expectations on you, and then we turn around and we feel like we got to live by their expectations of us, even if that's not being true to how we feel. So the point is, we end up harvesting all of these emotions, holding on to a lot of this stuff. So sometimes just talking to somebody allows us to get it out of us so that we're no longer plagued by it, right? So sometimes just getting it out helps. But then when you're able to talk to somebody who they don't know your situation, they don't know you, they not taking sides, so they're able to just evaluate the situation for the situation's sake. Because again, we all got family members and or friends and or co-workers that, depending on the situation, they already got a favorite. They didn't already picked who's right and who's wrong, regardless of what they actually know about the situation. So that when you're sharing, like, if they don't like the person, they automatically gonna be on your side, not because what you saying got married, but just because they don't like the other person. So that don't really help you out. It's not helping you to grow. Or if they like the other person and they don't like you, then that means that, and again, let's not say they don't like you, but if they really do like the other person, then they're gonna by default start making excuses for them. Well, he only did that because he only said that because she didn't really mean that. You already know how that goes, right? I'm tired of people telling me how to navigate my life. They don't come on. And this is what I'm saying. Like, whatever our situations are, they're our situations. But the fact is that a lot of times we feel that and we don't want for people to butt in. And sometimes people butting in and sometimes they're not. But the fact is that, again, I say we have to get grown, meaning that you're at a place where you're comfortable enough with who you are, with the decisions or the choices that you make for your life, that you can like it or not. I really don't care at all. I don't remember asking your opinion, but you felt the need to say it. But just because you said it don't mean that it has to mean anything to me. And so I was like right at 40 before I got that comfortable with myself. You understand what I'm saying? Until I got to that point where it didn't matter what certain, because I've never been a people pleaser holistically, but I have always been, if you're in my circle, if you're the person that I have allowed to have volume in my head, it matters to me what you think. But there are some times in your life where the only person that it should matter what they think is God, right? Like, it can't matter if this person care or this person agree. Like, as long as you know that you're doing the best thing for you and you're being obedient to God, might not always be pleasing to everybody. Might not always be pleasing to everybody. Let me see. It's people who are close to me, though. Brandy, look, child, okay, join the club, because I don't know how long you've been watching the video, but keep on watching, because this is what I'm saying. Like, this was my biological father that this situation happened with. But the bulk of the time, it is the people that's the closest to you. Why? Because those are the people that we choose to value, right? Like, there's this adage that says, keep your enemies close and your friends closer. A lot of times what happens is, in our minds, we know to have our guard up for the people that don't like us, but we mistakenly feel that because you my cousin, because you my sister, my brother, my whoever, that it's okay. And in every case, it's not okay. So you can't just all willy-nilly be going around saying that, like you, and I'm not telling you to be guarded. I'm saying, don't feel like just because of a relationship, so a bloodline, don't automatically make people trustworthy. Just because you related to somebody don't necessarily mean that they got your best interest at heart. And a lot of times we make, we feel that way. And I think it's natural to feel that way, because who wants to believe or accept that their people don't care, that their people are the ones that's plotting against them, that's talking against them or whatever. But again, I say, Jesus handpicked Judas. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna keep on going my story. So anyway, so Renee, that's my father's name. My biological father's name is Renee. So Renee, he made good on his promise the last time. Like, again, every day he was over my house, or calling me on the days he wasn't. He was there when my mom died. He was there when my baby was born. And then he began to tell me that I had other siblings. And he would always tell me, they know all about you, like all of them. All of them. How many siblings I got? Because keep in mind, I grew up with one sister. Me and my sister got the same mama. So all my life, I've been saying I got one sister. He like, all your siblings know about you. How many is all? So he started going down this name and name for name for name. How? I got, okay. Okay. Let me see. My own family is trying to talk me out of girl, that's a whole nother show. When let me see, I can see the headline now. When traditionalists try to understand entrepreneurs. If you're a traditional worker, you ain't never gonna understand the mindset of entrepreneurs. So just let it be. But anywho, he's telling me about all these different siblings I got. So just to tell y'all, so all total it's 6 of us from my dad's side. It was 2 girls, a boy, 2 girls, a boy. So I'm 1, 2, 3. I'm 4 of 6 from my father. Okay. So he was telling me, so, and again, so keep in mind, my mom passed away in August. Okay. So August 2002 is my mom died. So May, around May ish, sometime in May, I get a knock on my door. And I open the door, and there's 2 random guys. I had never seen them before in my life. Something in me was like, them your people. Sure enough, these are my 2 brothers standing in front of me. Because again, it was 4 girls, 2 boys. So my 2 brothers are on the porch. So they're telling me that our father had a massive stroke, and now he's brain dead on life support. So they want to come to me to find out. Oh, because I forgot to say that my sister, so sister, brother, me. So this sister died the month after my mother did. She was only 34. I believe she had cancer. So it's sister, brother, me. So my brothers, who I had never seen before this particular day, they're coming to me to tell me what just happened and asking me, what do I think we should do? So understand that for me, first of all, that's a lot. because he was just okay. He was just okay. Like a week, we just talked. He was just okay, and we went from he was just okay. 'Cause I just talked to him to massive stroke that left him brain dead, and he's on life support. And now they want to know because the doctors are saying that we got to make a decision. So now keep in mind, all the time Renee was telling me, your siblings know you. So they gave me the honor of the fact because I'm amongst the older of the siblings, and they're like, we don't want to make a decision without you because he wasn't married. So the decision came on the kids, and they were like, this is a family decision, and we don't want to make the decision without you. I cried right then, and not even because of the situation, but because these people who I had never known thought enough of me to come and seek me out to make sure that I was included in this. So I told them, I said, first I thanked them. And, but I told them, I said, whatever you all choose, because I didn't know him like you did. So I don't know what his what he would want in this type of situation. And so I don't feel that it would be fair for me to for my voice, because I we hadn't even known each other for a year. Like literally, I met, he came back in my life. 10 months later, he gone. And so but I thanked them. And so I remember um the day that they were going to pull a plug, because they decided to pull a plug. So my older brother, he called me and he was like, sis, and that's the other thing. From day one, I was always sis. Day one. It wasn't no having to work to get to know me. So he was like, sis, we decided that we're gonna go ahead, take him off for life support. We don't know what's gonna happen when we do. So if you want to go and get your final goodbyes, go ahead and do so now, whatever. So I made my way up to the hospital, and and later on that day, got the news he was gone. So then when it came to the funeral, when I say everything they asked me about, you know, they wanted my input. Like you couldn't tell them people that that I wasn't their sister. Like it was like from the origination, I was there, even though I was the last person to join the party. So anyway, I met my two sisters and my two brothers at his funeral. So again, the first time in life I'm meeting my two brothers is for them to tell me that our father is about to die. The day that I meet all the siblings officially is at his funeral. And so after his funeral was over though, me and my brother Jeff, that's the one that's older than me, oh, we stayed in touch, and it was like we stayed in touch for years and years. Like it was nothing, like the other siblings, I don't know what happened, but we just kind of lost touch. Me and Joe stayed in touch for years. And then you know how, or maybe I don't know if y'all know this, but how it's like you just look up and one day it's been a day since you talked to somebody, then it's been a week since you talked to somebody, then it's been a month, then you look up it's been a year, but you don't really realize that much time is going by because it don't really seem like it because life is happening still at the same time. So I don't know at what point that so much time had transpired since he and I had spoken. So, like just here recently, so again, Renee passed in '03. So we were together, like me and Jeff kind of we had became really close, and for maybe like 6, 7 years, maybe even 8 years, something like that, just close. And then just wasn't. I mean, like there was nothing bad happened, no arguments, no. It just one minute we was talking all the time, then next minute we just wasn't, and it wasn't no ill will or anything like that. So the other day, out of nowhere, he was just heavy. He was heavy on my mind, and I called the number that I had. And when I say the other day, I mean like literally, as in the other day. This is 2022. Last time I talked to him, I thought it had been like, I didn't remember what the year was. I found out that it was like 2011, 2012. So literally just a, a not even 2 weeks ago, he was heavy on my mind out of nowhere, heavy on my mind. And I called the last time I had for him, wasn't a good number. I called myself reaching out on Facebook because y'all know Facebook behind everybody. So I'm putting in the different names I knew. One find no profiles. Like, dang. So I just began to pray, and I'm like, Lord, I pray he okay. I don't know why. All this time later, you just got him heavy on my heart. So whatever it is, I pray that he's okay. Y'all, my right hand to God, I ain't lying. 2 days later, 2 days after I had been searching and I couldn't find them. No profile would come up for him. 2 days later, I wake up and I had a friend request from my brother. When I tell y'all that messed me up, I said, well, Jesus, all these years done went by, nothing. You put them on my heart, my mind. I tried to find them, I couldn't. And then somewhere you must have been dealing with him too, because 2 days later, I wake up to a friend request. So I hit him in the inbox, and y'all can only probably imagine what that inbox was like. It's like, oh my God. I was so totally ecstatic and just could not believe how God worked. Like, how when we talk about an omnipresent God, he's everywhere at the same time. So he touched his heart, my heart, all at the same time. Okay. So then, I gave him my number. I'm like, whenever you feel like calling me or talk to me or whatever, let me know. So then I woke up this morning and he had texted me. He's like, morning, sis. Whenever you get an opportunity, if you get a chance to talk, call me or whatever. I'm like, well, I'm available now. You available now? He's like, yeah. And so this whole thing that said he made me cry, I'm talking about is my brother Jeff. Because when I say we were on the phone, so I called him and it was just like yesterday. Like it does not seem like it has been a decade, y'all, since we had spoken. Like, because he walked me through, because I didn't remember that he was there for my last daughter. He was like, no, because he's like, I got 4 nieces, you got all four of the girls, right? He's like, because last time I saw, look, I mean, he remembered what the girls' names, everything. It's like, last time I saw little Jariah, she was about 3-4 years old. So that would put us about, the last time we spoke was about 2011, 2012. It's 2022. But when I tell you, like when we talked, it was like, it was just yesterday. And I could hear in his voice the same thing that he was able to hear in my voice, that we were both so excited to finally be speaking to each other again. He's like, because I had to find you. Like, he's like, because I need you to know that I'm here no matter what, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, like, we're talking, and so let's keep going because we talked for almost 2 hours. So anyway, in this conversation, he's telling me, because keep in mind, he knew my dad. I didn't know him. And so he's telling me all of this stuff about how, like, all of them knew me. And Renee would always tell me that my siblings knew me. He's like, no, we all talked about you all the time. Like, we all wonder how come you could never be over there with us. And do you understand? Like, just that sentence, why you couldn't be here with us. And you spend so much of your life trying to fit in. But here it is. You got a group of folks. I'm sorry, y'all. I promise. That's like, we want you over here. We want you over here. But you ain't over here. And you over here trying to figure out how come where you at ain't nobody really wanting you, or you ain't get, I ain't even gonna say ain't nobody wanting you, but you don't get the feelings over here. And you got people over here that's steadily like, you know what I'm saying? And so he's telling me like all these different things about our father. And because he's like, because he was an activist, he did this, he was this. And so I end up Googling, y'all know what I tell y'all about me. I ain't never finna say I don't know for too long. So while we talking, I end up Googling him. Found it now again, he died in '03, so it's been almost 20 years since he died. Found an article where they had written about him because my brother had told me that he was everybody in Chicago knew him, and he was partly responsible for instrumentally he said he was very instrumental in getting Harold Washington elected as mayor. And he did like all he was basically a really great entrepreneur. He's like, he was horrible as a parent, he said, but like he was a one of the best organizers ever. He said, there's so many people that knew him in Chicago. He was, and so sometimes after your parents die, you might think that somebody trying to really like put them up there. But like I say, when I found the article, it talked about how he was an activist, he was a musician, he was a so just a lot of different entrepreneurial stuff, and he helped to fight for public housing, and he was a part of this different coalition. And so I'm saying to myself, so the apple don't fall too far from the tree, huh? Like, for the longest time I always wondered, like, I'm the only one that's like this. Like, nobody else nobody else that I know, right? So I'm looking at my mom's side of him. I'm looking at my dad, not my father, but my dad's side of him. Like, I don't, I don't fit, like, because I always felt like the black sheep. And so when Joe started telling me about him, and then not only him, but my brother is also that same type of mentality. He was like, and he was telling me about my siblings because my brother keeps in touch with all of the siblings. And he was like, because all of us like are like this. All of us are kind of like, whether it's, activism or and entrepreneurially inclined, like all of us are like that, and it's like the void just really kind of the hole, because I thought that I was good because I had made my peace with it, right? Hey, Miss Tanya, I had made my peace with it because at the end of the day, I was so grateful to God for allowing my father to come in my life, for me to be able to get it out of me, all the negative that I felt, to be able to have the gift to forgive him, to be able to, beyond that, have him explain to me that it wasn't me, it had nothing to do with me. So to get all of that burden off of you, because you carrying something that you shouldn't be carrying. This ain't yours. Me not being in your life had nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with you were not worthy. It had nothing to do with not loving you. So I was able to get that off. I was able to get my, relationship back. Cause like I said, we were in a great place when he passed. And I even had the opportunity to meet my siblings, even if it was just one day. I got a chance to know, and so here it is a decade later. And for those of you who don't know, I'm running for MWRD commissioner. That just happened within the last couple months. That's fresh. For those of you who don't know, I was just recently, like this past Monday, I was just recently elected as being the chairwoman of the Cook County Green Party. So now that's an organization for me to oversee. And so to hear that not my father only, but all of my siblings, this is their lifestyle. It's like it just messed me up. So that's, I didn't even mean to go this long, y'all. But when I said he made me cry, it was good tears. And that he was my brother. Like to not just be able to reunite with him. And I'm gonna keep y'all posted on our journey, on our reuniting journey, because he's saying like within the next week or so he wants us to get back together. Because he's in Chicago. Oh, my other two sisters are in Chicago. And the youngest brother is in Iowa. But he's like, I want to get at least one of the sisters, and I want for us to come by and, just be able to sit and talk and reconnect. And so when I tell y'all all day, who care about their back? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when I tell y'all the elation, that's the only word that I have, because it's like so many, one phone call, so many questions were answered. And I don't mean I was asking him questions. I mean, just listening to him talking in the natural flow of our conversation. So many things that I wondered over the years, so many things that plagued me over the years. It was like these things were answered. And so now you kind of understand this is why this, and this is how that. And I know at the end of the day, this was all God. This was all God. He was working. And, there are times when God does things that we don't understand. And it ain't even meant for us to understand. We ain't got us to see. We the ones that we think we have to understand. We think that God got to explain himself to us. He don't. But in the moments when he pities us enough, like, oh baby, okay, I'm just going, but I won't even say he pitied me enough. He loved me enough to allow some of these holes that I thought they were gone. But as he was talking and things started to line up for me, it it just felt really good. I'll just sum it up there and say it just felt really good. So anyway, y'all, that is my show for today. And y'all know I'm still supposed to be on bed rest, so that's why y'all can't see the pills and all the stuff that I'm backed up against. But I couldn't keep this one to myself. I couldn't. I don't know if I'm probably not gonna be live tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. I won't even say that, because it's just a whole elation, and it has carried me all day long. But like I say, if he comes, if he's open to it, whenever it is, because I got a feeling this ain't going to be a one and done situation. But at some point, I will introduce you guys to my brother, um, and to know that, it, let's just say it's a good feeling. It's it's a good feeling to know, um, just to have questions answered. So I'm gonna stop, because a lot of it y'all don't necessarily get the smile. But for those of you that get it, you get it. Hey, Miss Denise, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I spoke to you now, but hey, um, but yeah. So here's the thing now, because I'm back on fire again. But for those of you who live in Chicago area, or matter of fact, let's be more specific. For those of you who live in Cook County, if you would be so kind as to pledge to sign my petition, I would so appreciate it. Right now, I have to be strategic because, again, because of my back, I am physically down. But when I tell y'all, I've been working the phones, I've been calling folks, I've been doing, like those of you, if I know y'all, I gave you my address, and you can actually physically come by and just sign the petition. But I have a couple people that's working to circulate the petitions for me. So my daughter will literally bring it to you and let you sign it. So those of you who would love to support my endeavor of becoming the commissioner for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, I would really love for you guys to do it. Help spread the word. Help to, whether you spread the word, whether you circulate petitions and help us get signatures, whether you just sign it yourself, whatever it is, I appreciate it. And then for my Black Man event, if you are in Chicago, I would love to see you there. We are shining a positive light on our Black men and ending Black History Month with a bang. Thank you so much, Miss Travell. I don't know if this sound however it sound, but I'm happy for me too. Like, I needed this. And not just I needed this, but I needed this at this moment to not only be in a new level politically. And I still, can I tell y'all something? Don't laugh at me. I still don't consider myself a politician. Running for office and the chair of the whole party, I still don't consider myself a politician. I'm an organizer. That's what I do. Like, I know how to make stuff run effectively. Somebody gonna have to tell me about, all the laws and the bills and all that stuff. Like, I'm intelligent when I need to be. Like, I'm intelligent. I'm a good person that know how to bring people together. I ain't a politician though, so please don't put that label on me. I prefer the word that I use on my website. I'm a social activist. Thank you, Travell. I'm a social activist. I feel that that is totally different than politician. If you feel that it's synonymous, then the synonym that I would prefer for you to use is social activist. I will accept that calling over my life. I am not a politician, okay? But in either case, I would love for you guys to come out and help celebrate our Black men. Let's stop waiting until somebody done died and now we marching Black Lives Matter, and now we saying the person's name once they did and they can't hear us no more. Like, yes, there is something to be said about legacy. Yes, we love, respect, and salute all of those who have given their lives. But you understand how so imagine how when he said that, and then when I went and I did the research and pulled up stuff, I said, ain't that? But anyway, um, for me, I definitely want to shine light. So y'all know I have the organization. I'm glad to be a woman. So I am a proud feminist, but I'm a traditionalist also, right? I feel that yes, it is wonderful to be a woman, and we should definitely be celebrating each other. And so I'm glad to be a woman. It's not. I'm glad to be a Black woman, even though I am glad to be a Black woman, but so I'm glad to be a woman. So regardless of your color, your age, your race, your ethnicity, your, relationship status, if you are a woman, then you belong in that organization. We celebrate you. We celebrate what it means for womanhood, period. But this project is all about celebrating our Black men, because I'll tell you this, if we don't celebrate them, you can't be mad because nobody else is. It has to start from within. And so on February 28th, it's a Monday, it's the last day of this month. I would love for you guys go to my wall, either wall, my personal wall or my fan page, or I'm sorry, public figure wall. Either of them, you will be able to see the information for this event. I would love for you all to be there. We're going to be releasing my book, brand new book called Being a Black Man is Harder Than You Think, followed by the documentary premiere of The Four Eyes of the Black Man. And then we're going to close it out with a Q&A session and an award ceremony. So in either case, it's been something I've been working on for over a year. We got 28 guys that are being honored. At this point, I'm still waiting for everybody to give me a final head count. 14 are from Chicago or the surrounding suburbs, and then 14 are from 12 different states. And so it has been a journey to get here, but I'm so happy. And we got some great Black men around us, y'all. All of them ain't trifling. All of them ain't in jail. All of them ain't on drugs. All of them ain't stealing from you. There are some Black men that are still setting powerful examples for their families and for the communities at large. And on February 28th, we are going to be celebrating them. So again, hit me up in the inbox or comment within the section here on the video if you want more details for how you can either attend or support, and I will follow up with you. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank y'all for not minding my tears, because these were happy tears, tears of joy, and I pray that you guys can shed some happy tears too. Love y'all so much. Until next time, you all stay inspired.